An alarming amount of the internet seems to think that having a negative emotion when viewing a piece of art means that that art is a failure and bad. And that's not how art works. I have grown very accustomed to getting negative comments here on the internet. But sometimes I get like a new brand of negative comment and I have to like investigate where this vitriol is coming from. And yesterday I made what I thought was a pretty benign review of a movie that I saw, and I just said, hey, here's some of the themes in this movie that I saw, and they made me really mad, and I want to discuss why. It wasn't like a review. I wasn't telling people, hey, you should or shouldn't go see this movie. I didn't say that the movie was good or bad. I just said, I saw this movie, and it elicited these emotions, and then I gave my background and how I viewed the themes in the movie, and why I didn't like the feelings that it elicited. And the only like real critique I gave was, hey, if you're going to invoke the imagery of the drone program from the war in the Middle East, have something to say. And people responded to this like I had come to their home and shot their dog. People were like, ignore this guy. I don't know why he hates this movie, but it was the best thing I've seen this year. I loved this movie. This is my favorite movie of all time, and this guy is an idiot who needs therapy because he's projecting all of his feelings onto it. Yeah, of course I'm projecting my feelings onto it. It's a piece of art. That's what you do with art. I was about to say, like, why do you think people walk around art museums if they're not feeling something when they look at the art? But then I realized that a lot of people go to art museums and feel absolutely nothing. They look at the painting on the wall and go, why am I here? So, like, yeah, never mind. I answered my own question. But just to let you know, some people go to the art and they look at it like a painting or a movie or just any kind of art, and they feel stuff. They project their own experiences onto the art, and they perceive and feel via it. That's why it's so popular. People don't go to movies because of the colors and the sounds. They go there because it elicits emotions in them in a safe environment. That's why they like horror movies. You get to experience the horrors and fear of a near-death experience without being in any danger whatsoever. People watch romantic comedies because they like to vicariously live through the characters and feel the feelings of love without all the complicated other stuff that comes with that. I feel crazy having to explain the basic like tenets of why humans like to paint pictures and show them to one another, but it feels like that's where we're at now. It feels like the cinemafication of like popular culture has made it so all movies are either in the good box or the bad box, and there's nothing else. And if you feel a negative emotion, bad box. And if you say something critical about the movie, bad box. You have to. It's just perfect. It has to be a perfect movie, and you can have no criticism. It also blew me away how many people were like, "It's just a movie, bro." And like, I've heard of this phenomenon. And I knew it applied to things like Star Wars, where there's a few layers of removal from the Vietnam War and World War II. But this movie that I was talking about had so many direct scenes ripped directly from real world events that apparently they used the actual footage of a real life explosion before they got critiqued for it. So yeah, I'm gonna draw some parallels to that war that I fought in. And I don't have the time to explain to these people that like politics and themes are in all things, because why waste your breath, right? But like, I thought those were like the dumbest of the dumb, like the people that are just like, or like children who are just discovering movies for the first time. But it was a shocking percentage of the comments were people fighting me as if I had told them that the core of their identity was wrong because a movie made me angry. A feeling I have most of the time. A disabled vet being angry shouldn't be news for anyone, but it like disrupted enough days that I got threats for it. You know, I had another video yesterday, a couple of videos, where I was talking about how I think war is inevitable, that there are forces larger than the individuals at play, and that it just raises to a boiling point. And conflict happens. And I kind of feel like this video is just in that same vein. We're at a point in society now where if somebody writes a game review or a movie review that people don't like, they get death threats. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that we figure this out and it's just a bump in the road in America. But I do not forget the violence at the Capitol that these people were so willing to bring barely 3 years ago. So I don't. And it certainly isn't helped by the fact that one of our two political parties has a frontrunner screaming for violence every single time he has a setback, which is all the time because he's a loser. I'm not necessarily saying that every single person who attacked me for disliking that movie that they've now made core to their identity, even though it only came out this week, are like Republicans or directly listening to Trump. But I do think the Overton window of violent rhetoric has shifted. And now we just have like an ambient higher level of violence in the air. So people are just much more quick to get to it. I hope I'm wrong. I hope there's no more wars. I hope that we never do another one. I wasn't a big fan of the one I was in, but it does feel like that the more and more this pressure cooker sits, that eventually we're going to do what we've always done historically and pick a fight. Although, let's end on a note of hope. I also think that ambient willingness to do violence in the air is contributing to all these people who are willing to strike, that are going, you know what, I'm tired of being treated like I'm worthless, and I'm tired of being squeezed until the last drop. I am willing to fight for my better benefits, and because sometimes fighting is good and necessary. So maybe that's the solution. Maybe everybody goes on a big old strike. More and more of them keep happening. The pressure from the wage stagnation gets a little easier, and maybe we avoid a conflict. Maybe we avoid a conflict by fighting together against the thing that's the real problem. Which would be great, because then we could have a nice smooth runway for the next generation to start their war.